Okay, welcome back. Today we are taking another look at Mark Dever's book, Discipling. And we're looking at chapter 2 today, and the topic today really is working for the good of others. Many of us struggle with thinking of ourselves first. You know, what can I get out of this, or let me at the front of the line, or let me get my food first, and so on. We struggle with this sort of a thing, and yet the Lord teaches and models actually the opposite. Jesus modeled the opposite. Mark 10:45 says, "For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." So we need to follow first then Jesus' model here of thinking, how can I be involved in the lives of others, not in ways that they can help me, but in ways that we can help them. And we see this selflessness sometimes all around us, we might say. In parents, maybe parents are giving for the good of their children. They're sacrificing so their children can succeed. And yet parents do best to use their efforts for the spiritual good of their children. Deuteronomy 6 verses 6 and 7 says, "These words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise." So again, parents do well to talk to their children about the Lord, as it were, at all times. And so this is a way that we can both be for our children, but be for our children for their spiritual good. Now, Jesus, we see, he was a good discipler. He had 12 disciples, remember? And he poured his life into these 12 men, and we might even say, in a special way, he poured into 3 of those, Peter, James, and John. Another biblical example of sort of pouring their life into somebody else was Paul, who discipled Timothy, his child in the faith. And then he encouraged, having poured into Timothy, he said, "Timothy, you go do the same thing." 2 Timothy 2:2, "What you have heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to faithful men who will be able to teach others." So Paul poured into Timothy. Timothy is supposed to pour into faithful men, and then those faithful men will teach others. Different than lets us know about what he calls his life verse. It's actually 2 verses, but his life verse is Colossians 1:28 and 29. "Him we proclaim, warning everyone and teaching everyone with all wisdom, that we may present everyone mature in Christ. For this I toil, struggling with his energy that he powerfully works within me." So notice that Paul is toiling and struggling for the good of others, right? And part of that work is his own proclaiming of the word, and yet the goal here is the spiritual maturity of the one who's being discipled, right? So that they would become mature in Christ. And when this happens, the fruit endures, as it were, longer than the discipler, right? So if you pour into somebody else, then they, again, can continue to disciple others as they disciple more. And that the fruit that comes from you pouring into somebody else may live longer than you live, right? Even when we are no more, those we discipled, if they're discipling others and they're discipling others, that work will continue to multiply even beyond our own lives. So remember, the fruit that comes from us discipling others, from us pouring into the lives of others, will be slow. We might plant and have to wait months or many months for anything to come out of it, but it will come, and it'll come because the Lord himself is pleased to bless such efforts. Dever closes then with a challenge to each of us, that we would name perhaps a couple people that we would like to see presented mature and godly on the last day. You know, just come up with a couple people, name them right now, right? And then consider how the Lord may use you to prepare them for that great day. What can you do in the next days and weeks in the life of that person to toil and work for their spiritual good, that they may be presented mature before the Lord on the last day?